Kia ora tātou, and welcome to this webinar tonight, introducing all of you to our course, Assessment and Intentional Teaching course that we're running with the Education Hub tonight. So kia ora tātou. Let's begin with a karakia and some introductions. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Vicky Hargraves aho. Tēnā tātou katoa e hui hui nei I tēnei rā, koia nei te kaupapa no tātou a komonga, kia kaha tātou ki te mahitahi, kia kaha tātou ki te mahitahi I roto I te aroha, kia whai whakaro ki etahi atu mi o rātou whakaro, kia mahia a tātou mahi I roto I te koa mi te ihihitanga, kia hono o tātou hei whānau a konga kotahi. Tēnā anō ka tātou katoa. Welcome to the course. That karakia is about us coming together and joining our thoughts and our energy to really make the most of this very exciting beginning to the course. I do apologise. It does say the end of course webinar. I put the wrong screen share on. Sorry about that. Let's stop the share for now. Okay, I hope that's better. I hope you can see me now. Welcome everyone. I'm going to start by introducing myself, and then it'd be lovely to hear from some of you. So about me, I'm an early childhood researcher. I've been an early childhood teacher for many years here in New Zealand for many years, but also in the UK where I'm originally from. I've also been an early childhood leader, and across my whole career, I've always had a huge interest in assessment and intentional teaching. I've always been fascinated about observing children as they work and play. I'd always be there writing down their thoughts and their comments, the things that they say, just noting how they tackle tasks or how they use their imaginations. And I found that the closer I looked, the more there was to see. But also in my work as an early childhood teacher and leader, I've noticed huge challenges with a narrative approach. For example, writing stories for the sake of writing stories, learning stories. I'll always remember being asked once to write a story for Eloise because she hadn't had one for that month. And I did politely sort of say, I really don't think there's anything I could write for her. You know, I didn't want to fabricate something because what would be the point of that? But another teacher said, oh, I'm pretty sure there's some photos of her at the Play-Doh table. I think I can probably write something about that. Hadn't even been present when the activity had taken place. There was this, this need, this accountability need to have a story for that month. So surely that's not the point of narrative assessment. But at the other end of the scale, another problem I've had is thinking about how in depth to go. And I confess that I have written a whole book of pedagogical documentation about a group of children who were fascinated by digging deep holes in the sandpit. But I just wonder now, how well did it feed forward into those children's learning when it was so huge and unfocused? So those are some of the thoughts coming in for me as we start off the course this time. Te Whariki is also a very open-ended and flexible curriculum, which is wonderful, but it invites us to weave our own meanings. It does suggest that narrative assessment is probably the most appropriate for assessing children's learning against the progress that children are making against those learning goals and outcomes. And those learning goals and outcomes are very open-ended and open to multiple interpretations. So narrative assessment is really complex, and it takes sophisticated skill to do it well. And of course, assessment needs to feed into teaching. So intentional teaching, that's a prominent new concept in the revised Te Whariki. It's a great concept. We should definitely be teaching intentionally, and those intentions should be informed by our assessments. But when children's learning is assessed in such a rich and holistic way, I think working out exactly what you've assessed means for children's ongoing learning is really tricky. So at the Education Hub, we've written this course for those who are unfamiliar with narrative assessment or want to develop their competencies, and for those who are aiming to be more intentional in their teaching through the use of assessment. It might also be useful for those of you that are a bit more experienced with assessment, and maybe just looking to refresh or improve or affirm their current practice. I hope that, whoever you are, you get some value from the course. So I wonder if you wouldn't mind just opening the chat function. You should have a little button either at the top or bottom of your screen that says chat. I wonder if you could just type a hello to us. Maybe let us know your name, your reason for taking the course, or what you're hoping to get out of the course, just a short something about you. And sorry, I will have to just turn away from the screen to have a look at what you're writing. I'll do that on another screen down here. We have a couple of people writing in. Hi, Christine. Hi, Dimithu. So I hope I've pronounced names correctly. So a bit of a refresher for you, Kim. Great. I hope it's really useful. We sort of go right through the, assuming no knowledge, but also getting some really sophisticated strategies going. They're coming in so quick. Lovely to meet you all. Lots of people looking to refresh. And some people looking to get some new ideas, yeah, and making those links between being more intentional. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Conrad. Some of you are doing the course for internal evaluation. That's a really good use of the course, I think, because what's really powerful when you learn something new is being able to put it into practice and make it real, and especially if you're working together as a team. That's really good, and I hope maybe we have some teams working together on the course. That'd be great. Hello, Janet. Come back to teaching and don't know much about intentional teaching. Yeah, it's a new idea, but I suspect you probably do know a bit about it. It's just the way it's been packaged, I guess, about being intentional about children's learning. Yeah, lots of inquiry focus. Great. Because that really means we can put this, put all that we're learning about together into action. Wonderful to have so many people joined us tonight. I can see there are 145 of you, so it's probably ambitious of me to imagine that I could read all these, but I will go back and read them later because they're just coming in so fast. Yeah, we've got a great course if you're primary trained, and this method of assessment is a bit new to you. And yep, someone working with babies, Jamie. Yep, I think that the course is relevant to all age groups that we're teaching in early childhood. Hello, Brittany. Great to see so much internal review going on in centres. Okay, well, do keep typing in because I will have a look at all of these comments later, and it's lovely to meet you. But let's go on to just talking a little bit more about what the course involves. I've kind of given you my personal opinions around assessment and intentional teaching and why we've put this course together. But actually, let's have a look at what you're going to need to do and what the expectations are. Okay, so the course has been structured into 3 modules, and each module has 3 parts. And we've imagined that you might be able to complete 1 a week. So that's sort of 3 weeks for each module, 3 modules. To do so, you probably put in about an hour to an hour and a half's work each week. We know you're super busy. Some of the work also is quite independent, so it's something like reading online or writing a personal reflection. So that can happen, that you can fit into your lives independently, but some of it also requires a bit more planning because you'll need to dedicate a bit of your working day in your centre to collecting information and working with that information and talking to people. The good thing is, though, that everything we're learning is related to your workplace. So it's all put towards writing a genuine learning story for a child in your setting. I think that's a really great part of the course, actually, the way it walks you through an assessment and planning cycle in relation to an actual child in your centre's learning. So you're doing your job and you're learning at the same time. So you're going to learn how to observe children effectively, and then you'll put it into practice by observing a child in your setting. You're going to learn about the different parts of a learning story. At the same time, you're actually going to have a go at writing those different parts. And at the end of the course, you'll have a meaningful learning story for the child, and you will hopefully have gained some useful strategies and principles for writing learning stories that you can continue on with in your everyday practice. You'll also learn about how to use that story that you've written intentionally to respond intentionally to children and children's learning. And you can plan and implement a specific and meaningful response, intentional response, I guess, for that child in your setting. So all of this is really designed to help your learning come to life, and not to have what you're learning to be something separate and maybe an extra burden on your week, but to have it really fused with what it is that you do every day. And then you complete the course having actually put what you've learned into practice, and hopefully you'll be ready to keep it up on a regular basis. Okay, so one thing that we do recommend for the course, and that would be a really good thing to think about now, is a person, a colleague, or someone at your setting who could be a critical friend for you and support your learning activities. Because at certain points during the course, we're going to ask you to have a reflective conversation with a colleague. And it's good to start thinking about who that person could be now. You're kind of looking for someone that you could trust, someone that's you can share ideas with, that you just feel really comfortable with, and who will offer you helpful and constructive feedback. It will be someone that you co-construct understandings with, someone who you might just puzzle with about the meaning of a learning event that you've observed. So it's good if the person has knowledge of the children and families that you're working with, but it needn't be someone who's a whiz at assessment. Just someone you can bounce ideas off with comfortably. We can learn a lot from the perspectives of others, and we tend to come up with better ideas when we're in a pair than we do independently. So when you've decided who that person could be, it'd be a good idea to have a little chat with them about what that's going to entail. So when you're talking with your chosen colleague, I suppose, you can explain that the course you're doing requires you to have reflective conversations, and there'll be specific questions that will structure your conversation. So you'll just need to set aside a little bit of time with that person in your setting. 20 minutes would be ideal, but equally a 5-minute coffee break would be good too. And there'll be 3 reflective conversations all in all across the 9 or 10-week course. The best thing to do is to prepare for the conversation by printing out questions and having a little think and reflect on them for yourself. So then you can go to your colleague, you can start the conversation by reading the questions together and sharing your initial thoughts, your initial reflections, and then asking your colleague what they think. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Another aspect of the course that I wanted to mention was the interaction with others that we have through the online forum. So each week we're going to offer you a question to get you started on discussing some of the ideas or issues or difficulties associated with a particular aspect of assessment or intentional teaching. And this is a great opportunity just to hear about how other centres are managing things. I find this part of the course really interesting. How do other centres manage getting their colleagues' input into learning stories, or how do they encourage parents to get involved in assessment and planning? So yeah, we've got a lot to learn from each other, so I strongly encourage you to hop onto the forum and utilise that part of the course. I'll also be coming onto the forum weekly, so I look forward to chatting with you. And I'll just mention that don't forget to, if you have posted, to check back a week or so later to see, I may have written a reply to your post, and unfortunately it's not as, the platform we're using isn't as smart as Facebook. You won't get an email alert. So if you just remember to have a chat back and see how the conversation is progressing on the forum, that would be great. So as with most things, this course, you get out of it what you put in, really. So the more you put in, the more you get out of it. The more you engage with all the practical parts of the course, the reflective conversations, the online discussion forum, then I think the more you'll be able to learn, and really be able to put what you've learned to some use. Okay, so I'm going to try now to share screen again, and forgive me for turning away from the camera again. I just want to share screen and show you the course platform if you haven't had a look already, and then you can see what it looks like and how to navigate it. It is pretty simple to use, but if you do have difficulties, then I'll just pop Amanda would be the person to talk to at the Education Hub, so I'll just pop her email into the chat function. I hope you received that there. So I think you will have been getting emails from Amanda already, but there's the email for you. Okay, so let's have a look and see if I can share screen. Okay, so I'm just going to share screen with there's the Education Hub's page, normal sign-in page. So to access your course, you need to go to sign in. And I'll just type in my details. And hopefully this all works. Great. So you can see now I've got my name there at the top. So I'm going to click on that, and that will open my my profile page here. And as I scroll down, you should be able to see. Oh, I'm not logged onto the course. I apologise there. You will have your course here. I should have checked that before. Let's see if we can find some of the course. Oh, my apologies. I don't think I'm going to be able to show you. I will be able to show you the online forum, I think. Yeah. Oh, apologies for that. This is the online forum. Basically, that's how you find the course. You'll then open a landing page that shows you all the it basically has a week's work on the one page running down, so it will come through and tell you here's a reading, here's a video to watch, and you just click and do those things. All the videos have transcripts for those of you who like to read what's being presented on video. And yes, as you complete that page of the course, you put a little tick in the box at the bottom and you move on to the next one. So I hope it's all self-explanatory. All I've been able to show you is how to log on, but that might be a good starting place. Logging on and finding the course. My apologies for that. I will be emailing Amanda for my technical difficulties, but it's great that it happens in front of everyone. Okay, I'm just going to stop that. Okay. Right, so what else can I tell you? I can tell you about the webinar at the end of the course. We will have another webinar in late August, a couple of weeks after the official end of the course, but don't worry, we extend the course for quite a few weeks after the official finishing time, so that for those of you that work a bit more slowly through it, there'll be plenty of opportunities and a great deal of access to the course. But yes, at the end of August, we'll have another webinar, and the aim of this one is to just revisit some of the key ideas and for you to share your reflections, successes or insights. You might even like to share the learning story that you produce as part of the course. So yeah, again, this is a chance for learning from each other and for gaining a bit of informal feedback from each other. And you might have more questions, so that final webinar is a good opportunity to ask them. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you again at the end of the course. Does anyone have any questions? If you'd like to pop them into the chat box. I see that Jane's course doesn't show up either. I hope most of you have been able to find a course on your login page. I do apologise for not checking that before I came online with you tonight. Oh great, Judith has got the course. So any questions that I can answer at this stage? And if you do think of any questions afterwards, just email Amanda, and if it's something that I personally need to answer, then she'll forward it on to me. This is, yep, that's right. Sorry, Judith. So yeah, we start module 1 this week. I mean, work through the course at your own pace. You might want to do a couple of modules in a week, and then you might like to do nothing for the next week. That's totally up to you. There's nothing really specific about doing it in a certain time frame. It's just the way that we packaged it. You can go ahead at your own pace. Learning notes. Yes, there is a little bit on learning notes, Kelly, and how I think really what we're talking about in this course is the principles of assessment, and then we do talk about some different ways of achieving those purposes, and definitely talking about learning notes as a means of making assessment a lot more manageable. So that comes a bit later in the course. I think it's important that we have these sort of deep understanding of narrative assessment, and then we supplement and enhance and add to that with the use of things like learning notes. That's my personal opinion, but yes, it is there in the course. I hope you find it useful. And I would say, Briar, to email Amanda. We have had such a lot of interest in this course. It's really great. But there might be some, I think they're pretty busy trying to get everything in place for all the different people that have enrolled. So yeah, I would email Amanda. To look forward to all these emails in the morning. Great to hear about this being put to use in the professional growth cycle. I really look forward to hearing a bit more about all these things through the forum, so please do use it. Yes, Chrissy, we'll be talking about formative assessment and summative assessment. Well, really in early childhood education, formative assessment, which for those of you who don't know, is the kind of assessment that you use to plan the next sort of steps for children, rather than summative assessment, which is saying perhaps this child is going to school, this is where they're at in their learning, so it's more of a fixed summary of what they've learned, whereas formative is really about being put to use and informing the next activities. Yeah, so that terminology is covered, and we really do focus on formative assessment in the course, because that is what in the main in early childhood that we're focusing on, and that's also what's stressed in Te Whariki. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the forums too, Chrissy. I think that I will just begin to close the webinar. Joe, yes, you're right. Just work through the modules at your own pace. They're just some people enjoy having a little bit of structure. There's so much to do each week, and we hope that there's kind of a manageable amount. But everybody has different workloads, and I've noticed this from the last time we ran the course that some people went through sort of 3 or 4 modules in a row. So they obviously had a bit of time on the weekend one day and decided to have a real slog at it. So yeah, and we do keep the course. And we've decided that we're not going to close this course off at any specific time. We want people to engage with the content for as long as they need to. I can't guarantee it'll be going years from now, but there certainly will be plenty of time for people to finish the course. Okay. Well, I think we'll close there for tonight. Tēnā koutou katoa, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for signing up for this course, and I really look forward to working with you. So I'll see you on the forum. Thank you. Good night.